Hello and welcome to Super Lady Hero Hour. I am Yael Teagle. I'm joined as always by the Lady KB. Hello, KB.
Hello. Welcome, guys, to our show. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but we are back to talk about literally almost double the episodes of superhero content. So, you know what? I think we're just going to dive right in. Superhero news, be darned. We are going directly into Loki. So here is your spoiler warning. And clearly you should have already seen Loki because it's been a solid 2 weeks at this point. And if you didn't, then shame on you. And come back and watch this after. But watch Loki first for sure. So here's the quick cap for the Loki finale for all time. Always. The clock is ticking in the season finale, which finds Loki and Sylvie on a date with Destiny. First off, the fact that they just called Kang Destiny and that they had a date with him, I actually kind of adore. It's kind of cute. So how are you feeling? How did you feel about this finale episode? How did you feel about the series overall?
Honestly, I was disappointed with the finale. I loved this. I loved this show. I loved every moment of it until the finale, which felt like kind of a letdown just because we had built up and built up and built up. And then I was disappointed. I was expecting more. I was expecting bigger. I was expecting more. I don't know that I was expecting anything in particular, but I was disappointed. That said, I think the character that we met in the end was interesting, was fun. I liked seeing this actor in a different role because I'd only seen him before in Lovecraft Country. Yeah.
Really? That's the only thing you've seen him in?
Oh. Yeah. So like to see him in something completely different, I was like, man, I would not believe it's the same person. So different. So good for him. Really great. I think Sylvie disappointed me in the end. I was disappointed. What did you think about this finale?
So I agree that I was a bit disappointed by Sylvie's choice, although it wasn't unpredictable. Like, I feel like we kind of knew that's where it's
sure.
I adore Jonathan Majors, not just from Lovecraft Country, but I recommend that you watch The Last Black Man in San Francisco. He is in that. Okay. He is extraordinary in it. I just think he's such a rare talent. I was disappointed that Jonathan and Wumi did not have any scenes together because that would have been a little Lovecraft Country reunion. But I think that he's brilliant as Kang. He's funny, he's endearing as this variant of Kang, I should say, because we know that there are a multitude of them. And we also know that we will see him again because there are a multitude of them, but also he is in the next Ant-Man movie. So I know
he literally told us, I think that was what when they killed him, I went, we're going to see him again. He
literally said, you can murder me, but I will be back.
Right.
So it is what it is. But I think that how we see him come back may be intriguing for us because again, like he's mentioned, he's like, I'm actually the good variant. Like I'm the tame variant. You know, I think one of my favorite lines in this particular episode is when he's like, we're all the villains here. Like, don't fool yourself. Like everyone's a villain in some capacity based on the life that they've chosen to live or the life that was selected for them by this particular variant. And so, yeah, I'm ready to see kind of the disastrous, chaotic, monstrous version of Kang, which I feel like we might be getting in Ant-Man. But yes, I needed more. But I also feel like what they were doing was like a soft multiverse opening. Like it was kind of like just a very soft launch of the multiverse. And let's see how this progresses, you know, like I still 100% don't know what's next in the phases. I just will never know anymore because they've like scrambled it and I just don't know. But whatever's next, I am curious to see how this plays into it. I will say, Tom Hiddleston's growth as Loki in this series was really good. Like, I think finally getting him to the place that he's at where he's disappointed in the choice that Sylvie makes in the end and where he wholeheartedly he's trusting the process. He's looking at it from a different perspective, a different lens. I think that is what made the series so good, because we see him kind of being that god of mischief, but ultimately almost kind of becoming a hero, but not in the way that the Flash does, which we'll talk about later. I don't feel like I've wasted Loki as a villain, but I do feel like he's grown. Whereas on the Flash, I always, this entire season, I felt like they've wasted all the villains. But I don't feel that way with Loki.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that at least we got to the point that I know you have been trying to get us to for this whole year. Like, how do we get to the multiverse of madness? Here it is. This is it. We did it. And it makes me very excited to see how we start the Doctor Strange film. And I'm very excited to see if it's going to be a like, oh my God, so all this weird stuff is happening. Now we got to fix it. Or if it's going to be a Doctor Strange being like, I feel a disturbance in the force, like
where he's just sitting there meditating, right. Like
it's gonna be one of those, and I'm excited to see which one it is.
Yeah, like something is occurring. What is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I'm excited to kind of see Wanda come back into the fold and what this means. So there's so many different layers that. I'm not too upset by the soft launch. I also think because they gave us Kang way sooner than I anticipated, than I expected, than I even said. But, so I was wrong. This was not a variant of Loki manipulating it. However, I wasn't too wrong, because they did give them the option that they could be the ones manipulating it. So I was like, ooh. And look what happened. That didn't happen.
I'm torn about this season finale, the fact that it is a season finale, the fact that it did get renewed. I'm torn because yes, I want more Loki, but I really wanted this to be like WandaVision, its own contained little story. And so it's annoying that it's not. And it makes me wonder what the plan was originally.
I'm confused about where they'll go, but I'm not mad at Loki getting a season 2. And the only reason why is because I feel like if any show should get one, it should be this one, because I think that they have a multitude of material. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have never actually been a series. Like, honestly, it could have just been a movie.
Yeah.
And then fed that into the next movie. And so I just kind of feel like Wanda as a limited series makes sense. That should have been a film. Loki's the only one so far where I'm like, oh no, this actually makes sense to be a TV show. Like, I don't feel like I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay. So
we'll see. All right, honestly. Let's rate this episode. For those who are new here on Super Lady Hero Hour, we rate everything on a scale from poop to kittens. So where are you rating this episode?
Yeah, for me, it was a kitten. I had a good time. Kang makes up like 90% of it, though. So it's really like the Kang show and explaining the multiverse and figuring out what happened in the variants and knowing that the TVA is a Black-owned business and figuring out what's going to happen with the said business. And it's interesting, though, I will say, the end where they don't remember Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And that already means that we're in a different time branch, right? Like we're already in a different branch of time. And what does this mean? And Loki's the only one who remembers.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting concept moving forward. So I am curious to see if we will see any of the TVA plus Loki in the remainder of this phase, like prior to season 2 of Loki, if we'll see them pop up in anything else. And I'm willing to bet my answer is yes. But what about you?
Well, before I answer, your rating for this episode as a kitten, is that the same rating for the whole season?
Yeah, it is. I actually really, really enjoyed the series. I enjoyed what they did. I mean, I think, for me, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So how about you? How are you rating this episode and then the season?
Yeah, so this episode specifically, I'm giving it a spoon. It was not the best. I didn't love it. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. And when it ended, I was like, oh, that's how we ended. All right. That said, this episode alone is a spoon. The entire rest of the season is a kitten. I loved the whole rest of the season. I'm going to watch season 2, obviously. I liked the season overall. It ended on a low note, but that doesn't take away from how great the series is as a whole. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Ready
Move
to
it along.
next?
Yeah, let's go to Superman and Lois. We have 2 episodes. Season 1, episode 12, Through the Valley of Death. Lois and John Henry can't seem to agree on the best way to stop Morgan Edge. Jonathan encourages Jordan to focus on strengthening his powers to help locate their dad. An old friend is brought in to help with the search. But also, Season 1, episode 13, Failsafe. Superman pays a visit to Morgan Edge. Lois and Chrissy work together on a story. Jonathan finds a welcome distraction during a stressful school day. How did you feel about these 2 episodes, which kind of felt like the climax of the Morgan Edge story?
Yeah, I not gonna lie. Obviously I watched them separately, but I kind of felt like they could have been one episode. Mm-hmm. Like I kind of felt like they could have been combined into one. Obviously we know that like Morgan Edge will be back bigger, badder, and stronger, particularly since he just cut off his father. We know what that means. But elsewhere, I just kind of felt like, you know, Lana and her family are really, really getting kind of the brunt of the town's anger. Specifically Kyle. And it's interesting to kind of see his behavior. I kind of almost feel like they're trying to give Kyle something to do. And it like was just kind of like, okay, it was kind of hit or miss for me. Like having the family back together and bonding, sure. But like any rational person would know that like, okay, Kyle endorsed this man, but you don't know everything about any single human being. Like I kind of felt like it was wildly irrational to have the whole town be mad at him. It's like, Kyle made a mistake, and like a mistake that anyone would make, but also girl, to whoever, I can't remember her name, but the woman who asked Lana to put in a good word for her, but also you asked for this. So it's also kind of like, but you also made a choice, and to blame them was wild to me because I was like, but you know, elsewhere, obviously we started off with Superman being kidnapped by Morgan and, you know, kind of breaking free, finding his humanity, not necessarily yet turning fully into Dark Superman. And that's fine. But I appreciate now that Clark has a different understanding and realization of his powers, and understanding that like he could at any moment turn. And thank you to John Henry, and thank you just for him being transparent about it, because I think he needed to have that like awakening. Like, I understand that your heart is pure now, but at any moment, you know, that could probably change, and there does need to be a failsafe. And I know that, you know, Lois doesn't want it, but it makes sense. Like, I mean, he can destroy the entire world. So you definitely need a failsafe. Like, I don't care of the purest of intentions.
Yeah, I agree with you. I felt like episode 12, Through the Valley of Death, could have been the season finale. It was the climax of the Morgan Edge story, and I would have preferred that. I think that it should have ended there. I don't think like everything that's still happening and everyone's dealing with, the fallout, we don't need Morgan Edge to still be around. The second episode felt more like a like, to me, it felt like a resolution of what's going on. I think you just said like they could have been one episode and it would have worked for me. I do like the way that we brought Superman down, the way we talked him down, the fact that John Henry had to learn to trust Lois, and that she knew that her being his heart could break through. I really liked that. But I didn't need this whole second episode where Morgan is now still evil and whatever. I just didn't need it. I didn't need it. And the whole thing with the sons in the second episode, the sons, both of them acting out, as Lois or as Clark said, like, they're not acting out. At no point are they maliciously acting out. Yeah. They both took time out of school to do nothing bad. Like, they just left school. So they aren't acting out. They're cutting school, which isn't the same as doing something malicious. You know what I mean? Like, Jordan gets arrested. Every
human cuts school.
Right. Jordan got arrested because he was trespassing, not because he went out of his way to do something bad. So it like felt weird to be like, they're going through something and they're acting out. No, they're not. They're being kids. They seem very, very like calm with everything going on.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like they seem more adjusted than most kids probably would be.
Right. And I agree with you with the Kyle thing. Like, everyone's blaming them because they need someone to blame. And I'm all for blaming Kyle. I believe in I also would want to, if I were in this town, I'd be like, yep, it's that guy. But they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything.
Kyle, poor Kyle. Yeah, I agree.
So shall we rate these 2 episodes?
Yeah, let's rate them.
All right.
Yeah,
go for it.
I'm like, I think I'm going to give them both kind of a spoon. Like, they weren't terrible, but they just were kind of middle of the road. I don't know that I necessarily think it should have been the season finale, but you bring up an interesting point, because I do think that they ended up getting like 3 additional episodes after that one in their order. So originally that probably was actually the season finale, and then they had to kind of come back with the additional 3 because there's only 2 left in the season, which would make sense. So but it wasn't like stellar TV. Like, it kind of felt very felt like they hit a lull for me personally, because episodes before I've just been so heavily invested in, and these were fine, but they just moved a lot slower pace wise. And so, probably just a spoon for me. How about you? How are you rating these episodes?
I want to be nice. I'm going to give it again because the first episode really did feel like a climactic finale. I was like, oh, what a great season finale. And then it just lulled afterwards into like the aftermath, which I understand there should be aftermath, but Morgan shouldn't still be there. We're done. Like, we finished that storyline, we're done. He tried to turn Clark or Superman. Superman's not doing it. And so we're done with him now. But no, we have to keep going with this. And I'm over him as a villain. Yeah.
All right. So what do you think is going to happen when it returns in August of the next episode?
I think that Morgan's, whatever his master plan is still in motion, I guess. And we're going to end up with another climactic fight. And then Lois is going to save Superman. I mean, I think
the same thing that just happened.
Yeah, we just I feel like they're spinning their wheels, or in my opinion, they're going to spin their wheels and repeat what we just did because they weren't expecting to keep doing it. My hope is that Morgan does not live to see season 2. That is my hope. I'd like a new villain, please. What about you? What are you thinking for this?
Yeah. I think that actually something will happen with General Lane. I think that that's where we need to see kind of that's lacking. Right now, everything's going well with him, but something has to give, something has to happen specifically with him, since he is kind of the man in charge on this show. I need to see some kind of action with him. And, now that his relationship with Lois is going well, it just seems I'm skeptical. And I feel like he's going to become kind of, I don't know, the damsel in distress, potentially here soon. That. So, that's all I got.
All right, let's move on to the Flash.
Yeah. So we are talking about the 2-part season 7 finale, Heart of the Matter. So part 1, Barry and Iris greet their future children, Excess and Bart, only for a shocking secret to threaten their new familial harmony. The Godspeed War intensifies and threatens to destroy Central City. Also, let's just note, it was not a shocking secret. And part 2, the Flash enlists a host of speedster allies, including Iris and his children from the future, Bart and Nora West-Allen, to end the speedster war and defeat a deadly new adversary, the villainous Godspeed. So really, I felt like that could have had one quick cap, because there was a lot of ways of saying the same thing. But how did you feel about this 2-part season 7 finale?
I think that they beautifully tied in a lot of stuff that we have been asking them to connect throughout the whole season. I still think that their villain of Godspeed was lacking. It was disappointing. It was lacking. It didn't make a lot of sense. The whole thing was obnoxious. I'm fascinated by his future children. I think they're very interesting. I absolutely loved the way the season ended. Like, the end was so beautiful. I believe part 2 was their 150th episode. And so they had
part one was
okay. Wow. That explains a lot. But both of these, had a lot of characters return, which was nice. We got to see people who literally just left. I was like, great, thanks for coming back. And it was, I mean, it was fine. It was fine. It was enjoyable. There were speedsters. I think the whole point of their Force children existing and being mentioned but not being there felt really weird, because you made such a big deal about it. Why weren't they there? And I feel the same way about Iris's. Like, she, for whatever reason, had to be in the Still Force and then was like, oh no, just kidding, now I can come back, we fixed it. Like, what? How? What? All right, so what did you think about this finale?
I think the finale might have been the best episode of the season.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, as everyone knows already, if you follow me on Twitter, I already have mentioned that I adore Jordan Fisher, who is in To All the Boys I Loved Before Part 2. And he is such a wildly talented singer. So I'm super glad they tapped into that. But also this cast is filled with talented singers because obviously Grant Gustin and Jesse L. Martin. So I'm not, and Carlos Valdez. And so I'm like, everyone here is a singer. So, thank you for coming back to that, but also not giving us a musical episode because I don't need a full hour of that. But I think that Nora and Bart are interesting. I think it's even more intriguing for them to be able to hang out with their parents who are like around the same age that Nora is right now, and try to get like a different perspective from them than what they're used to and what they're used to being told. I know that you predicted at the end of the season Iris would be pregnant, or that she would at least tell Barry that she was, and she didn't. But I did like the fact that their kids were able to see them renew their vows, especially because one of the fans' biggest point of contention was that wedding fiasco, which is like, they are actually like the best couple in the CW verse, and like they deserved a proper wedding. So I actually liked this one where Cisco comes back and he's the officiant, and it's just super low key, and she's in that really pretty red dress, and it's just the two of them. I like when the show gets back to the essence of it being the two of them and how their love story really kind of propels Barry in a lot of different ways. And it was nice to go back to that. I think Cecile dropping hints that she wants to be married is funny, because it's like, he really probably wouldn't have known and probably wouldn't have asked you.
Right.
Because he was just like, I thought we were having a good time. Like, we have a kid, we're chilling. Yeah, it's just kind of like, that's probably how he feels too. Yeah. And then this whole thing of, what is her name? I'm sorry, it is escaping. Kramer having this transformative power where she can literally just pick up on anyone else, but she hates metas. Girl, what? Like, what? How do we get here? But also Kramer quit and Joe didn't say he was going back. And I was like, your pension. That's really everything I keep thinking in my mind. But yeah, I think it was good. It was nice to see Tom Cavanaugh back, who Tom actually has been like directing episodes of CW verse shows. So he's like, I'm busy. But it was so nice to kind of see him back and don that for one more time. And it's always good to see Carlos as Cisco. So come on. But
I agree with you completely. I think that the renewal of the vows was really beautiful. The like heart and relationships of this episode were the best parts. The part where we had all of the speedsters line up and Iris was in her speedster outfit, like all of that was really fun. I enjoyed that. But the Godspeed stuff was a waste of time. And then the Kramer stuff was a waste of time. Like the fact that, whoops, now she has these powers and she's like, and I'm out. I was like, what?
She said, bye. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
You just made your character interesting and you're going to leave? That seems odd. So
yeah, because I actually was like, oh, she's a speedster. Then I became like immediately intrigued.
Right.
And then they were like, no, she's not a speedster. She can actually take on anyone's powers. And then I was like, oh, that's even better. And then they were like, nope.
a meta detector, because she could have in that home, she stood in that home, she could have detected everybody's powers
literally, and then took them on and transformed like a chameleon. I was like, this is so interesting. And she's native, like, hello. I mean, these are the things we're asking for. So I'm hoping that she comes back next season and we can utilize her.
She better. Like, why would you introduce this concept?
Right. Because it's extraordinary. And
Right.
also, wow, like that's clearly the power to have, is the one, where you could take on anyone who's within range. It's like, oh, well. Also, they didn't say that she couldn't take on multiple at once, but that would be even more intriguing if she could take on 5 at one time. And then you're like, wow, she is literally like probably better than Superman at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, well, let's rate this. The 2-part finale. I feel like all season I was very negative towards this show. And I'm going to be nice. This finale is getting a kitten from me.
Yay! Yeah. I have been on opposite sides and in between. There have been episodes for me that were poop, some that were spoon, some that were kitten. But I am definitely giving it a kitten because the finale was actually the best episode of the season.
Agreed.
I do agree. Like, where were the other kids? First off, I already thought it was weird that they were calling them kids. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But now the fact that they just kind of disappeared into the fold is like, why? I will say, though, so Godspeed being Bart's like Thawne.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, oh, okay. I didn't expect them to be like, it's because he killed Uncle Jay. Like, I thought it was like, because he killed Iris, or, and maybe that's why Iris had to stay in the Still Force. Like, I thought that might have been a better connection. But he said Uncle Jay, and then Jay was like, Uncle Jay, like, I've never met you, and I don't know who you are, but I guess I'm going to be your uncle in some timeline. I was like, oh, well, maybe they didn't want to use Iris again because of the Savitar one. And so I don't know, but I just hope next season, whatever villains that we have, stay villainous. That's really what I would love.
Yeah, I would like us to go back to a real villain with a real motivation, who is an actual threat, who can't be talked down, who isn't
a Zen retreat. Yes, it's like a Zen retreat of villains. That's why I feel like we're headed. Like,
yeah. All right, let's move along to DC's Legends of Tomorrow. We have 2 episodes again. Season 6, episode 9. This is Gus. Mick deals with fatherhood while he learns that Lita is pregnant. While the other legends try to save Berad's favorite show when an alien crash lands on the set, which leads us straight into the second episode, season 6, episode 10, Bad Blood. John and Spooner travel back to Spain, 1935, to find the fountain, while the legends deal with an adolescent Gus Gus. What did you think about these 2 episodes?
They were okay. Yeah, like, I didn't love them. I think the most intriguing part for me, honestly, Mick being pregnant.
Right.
I think Mick being pregnant by Kayla is so intriguing and so funny, because this is just not what you would expect from a surprise pregnancy storyline on the show. And I adore it, but I also love that it's happening while he is also about to become a grandfather. So I think the nuances of that, hilarious. I will say, Bad Blood, I'm so frustrated with Constantine, but like, he's annoying all the time because he always does this thing where he brings people in, pushes them away, goes off on his own, does something ridiculous. This is no different. And now he is juicing so that he can keep magic, get magic, keep magic, keep that source flowing. I can't say that I'm surprised, but I am disappointed in him. And he knows that. And he knows that everyone in the Legends will also be disappointed in him. So there is that. I'm not entirely sure why why are the names escaping me today? Maybe it's because I've had a headache all day. I don't know why they were missing. I mean, I know they said to plan their wedding, Sarah and
Ava.
Yes. I don't know why Sarah and Ava were missing, like, from a technical standpoint. Like, there are already so many people on the show. Like, I guess I'm just like, I don't know. And then they really did come back at the end. I was like, so y'all really came back to film one scene? Like, it just seems wild to me. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, do I know where the season is headed, where we will end? What is the big finale going to look like? Probably not. But listen, I'm happy to have OZ back, Original Zari. Happy to have her back. And I'm sure Nate is too, because finally it's like, oh, finally we can be together. And also, I did not like that Zari Constantine pairing. So here we are.
Right. I love this show so much. It's definitely one of my favorites. So I really love this. I personally think that Gus Gus when he was first introduced, felt like they were trying to be like, you like Bebo? What about this?
I know. Yes.
No, the answer is no. I like Bebo. I don't like this. I don't like Gus Gus. He's not cuter. He's not more enjoyable. He's not fun. No, stop trying to replace Bebo. Just let Bebo be Bebo. I agree with you that mixed pregnancy is the funniest situation. It was pretty clear that something was up early on. And I think both me and my roommate were like, he's pregnant. I don't know why that was what we pulled, but we pulled it.
Right, because I did not think that at all until they said it. And I was like, oh, I guess that does make sense.
Right. Him freaking out over his daughter's pregnancy is wild, and her pointing out that, like, he has no right, especially with how things went down with her. And I'm with you on this John thing. He is the most infuriating character. And I think that the part about the fountain being to someone, like, will give powers to someone worthy, and him not registering early on that they're like, from the get, when he heard that, should have been like, well, I'm out. Like, should have been aware that he wasn't going to get the powers.
You are not worthy. Like,
right.
Oh my gosh.
But when he protected Spooner and the kid, I thought that was going to be the, like, that's the moment where he was worthy and now he gets it. But then he was juicing, so obviously not. I think it was really weird to chase this MacGuffin of the fountain just to be like, nope, like, then why bother? Yeah, I like this show. I just would like us to get to where we're going as well.
And will we? Only they know.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's rate it. How are you feeling? I think I know, because you also definitely adore the show.
I do.
But how are you feeling about these 2 episodes?
I mean, I'm giving them kittens. I love this show. I feel like even the worst episode of this show is still good. Because it's never boring. It's always funny. It's wild. I really enjoyed the Spain story. Like, I really liked this. First of all, didn't know this history. And second of all, like, seeing Spooner, really be helpful is great. And because she's a fun character and I really like her. So I'm giving it a kitten. What about you?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and give it a kitten. Probably leaning towards a spoon a little bit for me, but I will say kitten. I think mixed pregnancy really is the star right now for me. I do also, though, really enjoy when they do have kind of these historical elements that are true blended in, like almost to the point where you don't know what's fact or what's fiction.
Right.
And so I appreciate that. So to your point, and this Spain storyline, I actually, like really adored that. But I too do not like Gus. Like, I don't care. And I too think that they just keep going around in circles with John Constantine, and when will he learn any lessons? But I still don't know where we're headed.
I really did. I gotta say, I really loved in the first episode when we learned about Bayrod's favorite show and, like, saw him change as the show changed. I found that to be one of the most interesting things, because it is a time travel show, and we do forget that, like, they are affecting things that can change them. And this one, they are literally affecting his favorite show, which of course would change how he developed. So I think that was really a nice way to do it, and I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get into our final segment. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's get into Performer of the Week. So I will kick us off because I know that you were still thinking about it, but my Performer of the Week 100% is going to go to Jonathan Majors as King. Like, I mean, he was so funny and so endearing. And listen, I truly, truly enjoy him in that capacity. I will also say, though, my woman performer of the week, because I just think his performance was exceptional and I wanted to call it out. But my woman performer of the week probably has to go to the actress who plays Lita. Managing Mick is no easy thing, I feel like, in any capacity. And particularly being Mick's daughter, and a daughter with a history of abandonment, because essentially that's what Mick did to her, but having to kind of resolve those feelings, not necessarily put them aside, but resolve them, and then prepare him for impending fatherhood again, to be a better person, to be a better human. I just really enjoy that storyline, and I think she's doing a great job. So
I was thinking of giving it to Bitsy Tulloch again, but I decided that I'm really giving it to Tala Ash, who played Zari. because there's that scene where both the Zaris are talking to each other, and I, looking at both of them, forgot that it was the same actress. Like the way she speaks as either Zari is so different that you forget it's the same person. And so she is getting my performer of the week.
Well, I am not mad at that. And literally, if we know, I think the actress name who plays Lita is Mina Sundal, I think. So shout out to her. I just wanted to make sure I said her actual name. All right. So character style icon of the week. Who are we going with? Because I'm going to go with OZ because I'm so happy to have her like casual style back. I just feel like, the Zari who's over the top is great, also has a great voice because remember that was one of my favorite episodes when she was singing. But I like this like casual like jeans t-shirt, which is almost always my vibe. I'm like, yay, let's do that. And plus I just feel like in these episodes, everyone was wearing what they were already wearing. So I don't know. So I might give like a secondary honor to Cisco and that little Star Lab stole that he was wearing as the officiant. I will probably give the second one to that. But
I love that. I'm going to go with, I'm looking up her name right now. So Michelle Harrison, who plays Nora, Speed Force Nora, but specifically I want to give it to I don't know the character's name, but Jay's girlfriend. Yes, Joan. Mm-hmm. Because I loved the hair and the glasses. Yes. It was so cute.
She looked exactly like Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So she's getting my style icon of the week. But I'm going to honorary mention to Iris when she's Speedster, because it was really fun to see the jacket next to Nora, because it's the same jacket, but adjusted. So I really liked that.
Oh, and shout out to actually Candace Patton as Iris in that wedding dress, because I thought that red was really beautiful. I liked the style of it. I thought it was gorgeous. Yeah. So there was some style this week.
Yes.
All right. So OMG WTF moment. This is probably the hardest one for me, honestly.
I think mine is going to be a moment not in the show, but about the show. And it's going to be the Loki renewal. That was my OMG moment.
Well, technically it is in the show. It's in the end credits.
But I knew it before I got to the end credits.
So. Oh, okay. Really?
That was my moment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that honestly, my moment is probably when they said Mick has 47 or 48. I don't know, when in the 40s, when he has, he's expecting 40 plus kids. Man, I was like, what? I think that probably for me was the most shocking thing, was the amount of I was like, you pregnant, Mick, like you are expecting a litter. Yeah, like it is wild. So that was probably it for me. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, that is it for today's episode of Super Lady Hero Hour. Until next time, KB, where are you and where can everyone see everything you're up to?
Per usual, Instagram and Twitter only for social media, and that's the Lady KB, TheLadyKayb. You can also catch up on previous episodes of Super Lady Hero Hour right here on our YouTube channel. All of the superhero shows are actually on a small break, so we are going to reset ourselves and give ourselves some much needed time off. And during that time, we will also still be working on other things. So you should catch up on Through the Lens of Lady KB. I have a bunch of interviews there out right now. I have interviews with the cast of Snake Eyes. That film premieres tomorrow. I also have interviews with the cast of Never Have I Ever. Season 2 is out on Netflix right now. It is divine. And I also have an interview with Julia Hart, who is has a new Netflix series called My Unorthodox Life. It is about her life, her family, her leaving the Orthodox community and moving into this world of being kind of a CEO and boss. So yeah, you can check out that interview as well. And how about you, Yael? Until next time, where can everyone find you? What are you up to?
I am everywhere on the internet at Yael Tygiel. That is YaelTygiel. You can find me on, of course, Fanversation, especially talking about Law and Order Special Victims Unit, the greatest show of all time. I almost merged all those words into one. Also, I recently saw this film called Sugar Daddy, which is available on Amazon. You can check out my review on Fanversation. And if you have binged Leverage Redemption, you might want to check out the official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast on Electric Now. New episodes drop on Saturdays and air Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. only on Electric Now. But mostly keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram so you can hear all about everything that I'm doing. Whew, that is it. That is it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.